We attended Sunday service at the enormous cathedral, a walking distance from home. But as a matter of class, we rode to the church in his well-washed and polished car, courtesy of the gatesman. Finding a parking space was not simple, and I wondered why we couldn't just walk the short distance. I suggested that to Eddie that morning, but to him, it sounded as if I was asking him to take a bath stark naked in the public square or marketplace. There was something peculiar about the church, the ambience, and the people. Many faces looked familiar. The songs were almost the same songs we sang at my local church in Ezambo. As we sat in the next available pew, the three people already seated greeted us in the Igbo language, and I realized it was an Igbo congregation. The praise and worship sessions were not as endless as those we experienced back home. The sermon seemed to be within a time frame, unlike our pastor back home. We often and abusively boast that being dedicated unto the Lord, he reserves the right to preach for as long as he wishes on Sundays. In his words, he will often claim that the dismissal time is as the Spirit directs. There was an altar call for first-timers, and I joined about 10 other people in answering the call. The prayer seemed to refer to me. If I wasn't sure there was no communication between my husband and the pastor, I would have suspected he gave him some of my details. He knew I was new to Lagos and going through a family battle, but God, according to him, had promised to lift me beyond my expectations if I remained faithful and focused. I kept wondering what that word of prophecy meant and how far it would take me. In one way, I understood that it all depends on my willingness to gain knowledge, remain devoted, and work with the Holy Spirit for a greater tomorrow. In substance, he seems to say that nothing will happen by chance. We met a few of his friends after service, and one of them invited us to a birthday party at Festac Town. We could have gone home to eat lunch, but his friends insisted that item 7 on that birthday will be heavy. Promise kept. We returned home overfed and had to skip dinner. Later that night, Eddie discussed the pending issues about my return to school and wanted us to agree on common ground. Since the term had gone halfway, he suggested I conclude the first term as a day student, while for the second term, I should move to the school hostel to enhance my concentration and performance. I was confused and didn't know what to say. I wasn't sure if, as my husband, he was sampling my opinion to help me get the best out of the school or to test if I could seize the opportunity to run away from him. I knew he was waiting for an answer, but needed to weigh my response on a scale of preference. Baby, I muttered. Boarding school is lots of fun, as I heard from friends, but my constraints seemed to focus on the fact that I look older than my age mates. If I join the SS1, I'll be 2 years older than my housemates, and that might add salt to the injury, especially if they come to know that I am married. He looked at me and noticed I was apprehensive and lost in thought. I know you might wonder what will become of me or if the likes of Kate will come creeping back into my life. The fact is that I've given up on such a lifestyle, and I do not want to rob you of the opportunity to earn knowledge and make a guided decision for our future. Speak out, baby, he implored me. It was not an easy choice, but we returned to the school when I experienced and encountered with the principal. We inquired about the school fees and the levies due for day students. We then proceeded to the administrator's office to collect my school uniform, shoes, and books. We planned to pick up the uniform in readiness for starting school the next day. But when we stopped to inform the principal that we had completed all protocols, she asked me to go into her toilet and change into my school uniform. Innocently, I presumed it was for her to ensure they were my size. I went in without the shoes and tried out the uniform. Tears came down my eyes as I looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't expect this to happen as early as it did. I stood there, wiped my tears, and stepped back into her office. What about your shoes? She asked. They're in that bag, ma. I reached for the bag, took the shoes, and showed her. They are not for fancy Miss Adaeze. Can you please put them on? Yes, ma, I responded, and galloped back to the toilet. I removed my slippers, took some tissue paper, wet it, and used it to wipe dust out of my seemingly dusty foot to avoid soiling my immaculate white stocking. Then I put on the Cortina shoes, buckled them properly, and returned to present myself to the principal. Wonderful, she said. You now look like one of us. Now take the bag, pack the clothes you just took off, and hand them to your uncle. We both looked lost and perplexed, not knowing her next move. I complied with her instructions and handed the bag over to Eddie. Now pick up your school bag and come with me. Let me introduce you to your class. As we left the room, the principal looked at my presumed uncle, Eddie, and told him that lessons should be over by 2 p.m., just in case he wanted to come and pick me up. I was aware of being 2 years older than my new classmates. I knew I even looked older than my age. I knew what to expect, and I prepared my mind to accept whatever reaction my presence might arouse. On arrival, the principal knocked on the door to interrupt the mathematics teacher was already halfway into his hour of lesson. He paused at the principal's request, and she introduced me to the rest of the class. Soon, it was time for a break, and my fear of experiencing her loneliness was wrong. One girl asked me if I could come with them to the canteen to buy some snacks. It was only then that it occurred to me that I had changed my clothes and didn't remember to take out the money in my jeans pockets. I was confused and didn't know whether to tell her the truth or pretend I wasn't hungry. Considering when you came in, you didn't expect to be in class today, I'm almost sure the principal took you unawares because the same thing happened to me the first day. I came with my mom to pick up my school uniform. Fumi seemed to understand that I was having a problem expressing myself. She smiled at me and said, "Adaeze, can we offer you snacks today as a welcome package?" I looked at her and she smiled again, saying, "Am I right?" "Yes, you're right, Fumi." I didn't remember to bring out the money I had in my jeans. I stood up right away and went with them to the canteen. As we walked past the administrative office, the principal called me and I immediately thought she had other communications to pass down to me. "Your uncle," she said, "left 500 naira with me. He said you didn't think of joining the class immediately and might have forgotten to take money from your snacks." "He's perfectly correct, ma." I thanked her and ran out to meet the 3 new friends waiting for me outside. It was a quick break, and we had to rush whatever we ate to return to the classroom. When the dismissal bell rang, I was amazed at how time had flown by. As I walked home after school, the only thing that came to mind was a great desire to speak to my mother. I deeply desired to inform her that God, in His infinite mercies, had answered her prayers for me to return to school. As I walked into the house with my school bag, I couldn't hold myself from expressing my gratitude to Eddie for finding the courage to keep to his words concerning putting me back in school the moment we returned to Lagos. I threw open my arms and gave him an unreserved hug. We both burst out laughing because before now, I used to give him a sideways hug to avoid a frontal embrace, which usually made him want to kiss me. I asked him to take a pictorial documentary of my first day at school in Lagos with his Polaroid camera, since the Nokia mobile phones of those days didn't have built-in photo cameras. I hoped that one day when I saw someone going home to my hometown, I could send the pictures to my mother, since I didn't have any plans of visiting home soon. I would never come back to this house was a promise I made to myself the day they bundled me out of my father's house into the arms of a total stranger. After my first 2 days in school, I appreciated some basic biology knowledge I had gained about human development. I understood clearly the powerful influence our environment, aka phenotype, will have over our inherited genetic information, DNA. It was no secret that I was book smart back in example. I felt average in riches because 7 out of 10 were poor kids from peasant families. We had heard of computers and could draw a desktop, keyboard, screen, and mouse as homework. But we have never come face to face with a computer in our classrooms, talk less of owning a laptop. Once upon a time, when the chairman of a local government visited our school with the Commissioner for Education, they made some propagandist talk of building a computer laboratory where we could have turns learning how to use the computer. Still, like the chemistry laboratory, it remained the dream lost in one of the many idle files on our principal's table. Here in Lagos, the story seems to speak an unfamiliar language. Most of the students are from above average families. The school's furniture was solid, neat, and comfortable, and each desk had a desktop computer. They made school uniforms out of imported high-quality materials. Only then did I understand that the Cortina shoes they sold to us at Ezambo were locally made or at best imported from China, despite the trademark name written on them. I battled within myself and vowed never to let my poor background define me. As far as I was concerned, that mansion down the road at number 27 was my uncle's house. It didn't matter if we lived in the boys' quarter because no one, at least for now, would visit me or inspect my house, since most of the students were in the boarding school. I told Eddie of my complete ignorance of the use of computers, and he immediately reassured me that in less than 1 month, I would be conversant with a computer more than my classmates. He pulled out his desktop computer from a carton on the shelves where he had put it away since he bought a laptop. He started by teaching me how to set it up and connect the various components, and then he showed me how to connect it to the internet by hooking it up to his Wi-Fi system. However, you can search for anything online using my laptop. He dedicated 1 hour every evening to teaching me all I needed about a desktop computer. My classmates were amazed at my rapid progress in computer literacy. I started keeping a diary because my life kept developing or unfolding like a Nollywood film daily. My faith and belief system grew exponentially, and everything started working together for my good. I wrote a slight note which I dedicated to Uncle Eddie. It was more of a question than a note. The theme was, is poverty a cause or a choice? Eddie, without notice, called my brother at Onitsha and passed the line to me, brightening my weekend up. Initially, I didn't know who Eddie was speaking to, so I was at a loss about what to say. But the moment I had the other person on the line say, "Good afternoon, sister," it was as if he was standing before me. It's hard when you lose touch with family. The pains become even worse when you nurse this hard feeling of being betrayed for a pot or pottage. With Clement, I can somehow understand that he was looking for his greener pasture.